Hello chess fans and welcome to Chess Vibe, and today we are going to talk about the fourth game of the Fide Chess Championship 2021. The previous three rounds have been ended in a draw between Magnus Carlsen and Nepomniachtchi, and we are going to talk about the fourth game today. And Magnus Carlsen is playing with the white pieces and Nepomniachtchi is playing with the black pieces. We had 1 day break, so both the players got the idea to prepare their analysis, their ideas, what are going to play in today's match basically. So we are going to see a very interesting match because we have both the players had a break and they have prepared a lot. So let's check it out, this interesting game, because every chess fan, even me, is trying to find some chess result. Okay, we don't want draw. We want the result. Okay, whether white win or whether white loss. So Magnus Carlsen with the white pieces started the game with 1e4. And please tell me in the comment box, who are you rooting for? Are you voting for Magnus Carlsen to remain the same World Chess Champion? Or do you want Nepomniachtchi to continue the next World Chess Champion? So after e4, Nepomniachtchi with the black pieces replied with e5, knight f3, and after knight f3, the common way to play this position is to play knight c6, and we have the, perhaps you can play bishop c4, we have the Goku piano. If you try to play bishop b5, we have the roller piece. But after knight f3, we have knight to f6 by Nepomniachtchi. We have the Petrov defense, and okay, this opening is not played in the high level, but we have it. After knight f6, we have knight into e5, and after knight into e5, I have uploaded a video. The video's name is C42 Gambit, and it is the most popular video in my YouTube channel, and which has crossed around 1,50,000-60,000 views, which is greatest deal for me. So after knight into e5, in the C42 Gambit, we have knight c6. And after knight into c6, d into c6, you can say that black pieces are ready to develop very fast. And okay, black is a pawn down, but if white doesn't know how to play this position perfectly, then black is simply going to crush white position. But at the high level, definitely after knight c6, Magnus Carlsen knows how to play this position, and he's not going to mess around. So in the high level, you can't go for it. So after knight into e5, we have d6 by Nepomniachtchi hitting the knight. We have knight to f3, knight into e4, capturing the pawn, d4, so white idea is to play bishop d3 and castle. We have d5 by black, so that now white can no longer advance his pawn to d5. We have bishop to d3, bishop to d6, and now we have castle by white. If you try to capture the knight, after d into e5, after knight f to d2, black can play something like queen to g5. You can't capture the pawn because g2 pawn is hanging, and okay, black is already better in this position. That's why first we have castle by black, and now we have c4 by white. Black pawn cannot capture the pawn because the knight is hanging on e4. So black simply played c6, defending the pawn. And in this position, if any of you guys play the French defense exchange variation, you have already seen this position once. And in this position, many of the players try to play c5, which is actually not the good move, because here black can play bishop c7, and black idea is to play b6 and try to put the weakness on c5. And after something like b4, black can even play a5, and followed by queen f6 and putting some pressure on the d4 pawn, which is a good idea from the black side. So we definitely don't have c5 by Magnus, and we have first rook e1 by white, putting pressure on the knight on e4. Bishop to f5, queen to b3. Now white idea is to capture the pawn on b7, and now we have queen to d7 by black. So black is simply defending the pawn on b7. Knight to c3, we have knight into c3, and now we have bishop into f5. So now black is forced to capture the bishop because now the bishop is attacking the queen. So we have queen into f5, and in this position, white is having the choice. He can either capture the knight on c3, or he can either go for the capturing the pawn on b7. In the game, we have b into c3 capturing the knight. If white would have went for capturing the pawn on b7, we have queen to d7, and after queen d7, many of you are thinking what will happen after queen into a8. Actually, after queen into a8, white queen is trapped because now black is simply going to play knight to a4, followed by knight b6, and the queen is trapped. So the only way to prevent it is to play c5. Take away the square from the knight from the b6. But still, black is going to play knight to a6. The rook is attacking the queen. and now the queen is having no square to escape. So after queen into f8, bishop into f8, black is better. But okay, after queen into b7, you can go for queen d7, and white can capture the queen. And after knight into d7, b into c3, black can play d into c4, and it's an equal position. But okay, first we had b into c3 capturing the knight by Magnus Carlsen, and now we have b6 by black. Now the white queen can no longer attack the pawn on b7. We have c into d5, c into d5, queen to b5. So perhaps the idea is to say that okay, you can't move the knight. You can't move the knight to c6 because now the queen is covering the square. Or perhaps white idea is to can be to play a4, a5, stuff like that. So after queen to b5, we have queen to d7 by Nepomniachtchi. He's asking for a queen trade. And first of all, you cannot capture the pawn on d5 in this position because after bishop into h2 check, the queen is attacked and it's game over for white. So after queen to d7, we have a4 by Magnus. We have a queen trade, and now we have a5 by black. And after a5, if we try to end pass in this position, nothing is happening. After knight into a6, it is still an equal position. So after a5, Magnus Carlsen decided to play knight to h4. And perhaps the idea is to play knight to f5, hitting the bishop, and perhaps there could be some nasty checks on the e7 square. So after knight h4, Nepomniachtchi simply played g6. Now taking away the square from the knight on f5. Second, now black is making a square for the king to run away on g7, so that now there could be no black rank mates in the future. So after g6, we have g4 by Magnus. After g4, there's a very huge logic behind this move. After g5, after g4, white is basically taking away the square from the black on f5 and on h5, because after playing g6, black wants to play f5 in this position, grab more space on the king side. But after playing g4, white have already taken both the squares. So you can't play f5 because after capture, black pawn structure is already bad. So after g4 was actually a brilliant move by Magnus Carlsen. So after g4, we have knight to d7 by black, developing the knight, developing the final piece, you can say. We have knight to g2 back. And so now he wants to reroute the knight from, like, you can play knight f4, you can play knight to e3, and stuff like that. We have rook c8, and now we have bishop to f4, asking for a bishop trade. We have a bishop trade, and now black simply captured the pawn on c3. And now white also captured the pawn on d5 with the knight. We have rook to d3, attacking the pawn on d4. So white simply swinged his rook to e7. And after rook to e7 attacking the knight, you cannot capture the pawn because after rook into d7, white is a rook plus. So after rook to e7, we have knight to f8 by black, knight to f6 check, king to g7. We have knight to e8 check, king to g8. So basically both sides are pinning the position. And after, you can say after knight to e8 check, you can't go for playing king to e8, king to h8, because there could be some, first of all, you cannot capture the pawn because the knight is hanging. But there could be some troubles after rook e1, both the rooks are doubled and it's going to be a bit of a problem for black. So that's why we have king g8, d5. So now white is trying to push the pawn. You cannot capture the pawn because after knight f6 check, the rook is lost. So we have first a4 by black. So now black is also trying to push his passed pawn because it's the passed pawn. We have knight f6 check, king g7, and now we have g5 by white by Magnus Carlsen. Now the king cannot capture the knight because the pawn is simply protecting the knight. We have a3, advancing his pawn one step ahead. We have now knight to e8 check, king g8, knight f6 check, king g7, knight e8 check, king g8, and after knight f6 check, both the players on the move number 33 agreed to a draw, and we have the result. We have again a draw by both the players on the fourth round. So first of all, Nepomniachtchi surprised actually every chess players who are watching the game. He played the Petrov defense, which is just simply invincible actually, because after knight f3, actually I think more than 95% of the players must have thought that black is going to play knight c6 and we perhaps had the royal pace on the board. But we have the Petrov, which was very which was very nice from Ian Nepomniachtchi. He's actually entertaining the public as well, entertaining the chess fans actually, because playing this opening in such a high level is going to inspire every chess player to try more opening in chess basically. Yeah, just don't be afraid of any opening, because every opening is having some novelties in the position which you can find on the board. So first of all, if you like this game, then make sure to like the video, share this video with everyone, so that everyone must know this interesting game played by Carlsen and Nepomniachtchi in the 4th round. And make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it. So I'm going to come up with these new videos for you. I'm going to analyze every game out of 14 games. So you can check out my previous videos. I've analyzed the previous 3 games. If you haven't checked it out, make sure to check it out. So till then, stay tuned and keep watching Chess Vibes.